Well, good morning. Good morning. Well, at least it's morning where I am. I gotta tell you, I'm a little nervous about doing this video. I'm nervous about doing this Ask the Coach live. Here's why. Sometimes I get so triggered and then I just feel like I've got to say something. But I know me. You know me too. I'm opinionated. And I get bullheaded about something. And when something is in my brain and I think I'm right, I'm a bulldog with it. And especially if I know I'm right, I get doggedly determined about setting it straight. And I think I just gotta say something. Somebody once said to me one time, we were having a discussion, and I was kind of in this state. I had my back up. I was kind of triggered, I guess, if I could say it that way. But I knew that I knew that I knew I was right. I mean, I am a professional in my field. This is going to sound really bad, but I'm very good. I'm way up here. Like, I'm very good at what I do. I'm very confident in my competence. I'm not arrogant and cocky, although it sounds like it, but I'm confident in my competence, and I know what I'm talking about in my area of expertise. And I was having a chat with a guy one time. I don't even remember what we were talking about. But he said to me, he says, gee, you're pretty narrow-minded about this. And I said, yes, I am. I can afford to be because I'm right. And he actually took a swing at me. Like he took a swing at me, and I had to duck, and I thought, well, maybe that wasn't the right thing to say. Maybe sometimes I can be a little bit too come across a little bit too bold. And this segment of Ask the Coach Live could be that way. Hi, Barb. Barb Benrot from Kamloops, I believe, if my memory serves me correct. Hello, good morning, good to see you. And you say, yes, you are. What does that mean? Yes, I'm a little bit bold, I suppose. I would agree with you. Anyway, this segment of Ask the Coach Live, and the two things I want to talk about today, possibly a third. It all depends if I can control myself and I don't get too many angry comments in the feedback. But I want to talk about some things. Here's the first one, and I mentioned it a little bit. I had a tease on the last Ask the Coach Live last Friday, and I said something had happened to me like a couple of weeks from then. So I've been sitting on this for at least 3 weeks. Let me think. No, I've been sitting on this since April 17th. So is that 3 weeks? That's not quite 4 weeks. It could be maybe 3 weeks. I've been sitting on this one for a while. And every time I think about it, it just ticks me off. I don't want to swear, but I kind of want to swear because it just makes me kind of that way. Barb, hello, yeah, to all. Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. But anyway, I got a text message on Messenger out of the blue from a lady who I didn't even know. I didn't even know who this person was. We hadn't met. We'd never been introduced, and just she follows me on Facebook. She lives in the same city as me. She's part of the same community. I learned later that she goes to the same church I do, and that I kind of, sort of, in a very barely familiar way, knew who her husband was. That's it. Anyway, she reaches out to me on Facebook. I'm not going to mention any names. I'm not going to mention what she does. I don't, in case she sees this, but I do know she blocked me, so she's probably not going to see this anyway. But anyway, she sends me this message. She sends me this text on Messenger, Facebook Messenger. She says this: "Hi, Alan. Being a Christian and starting my own business." She told me exactly what she's a service provider. She told me what her business was, but I'm not going to mention it. So she says, "Hi, Alan. Being a Christian and starting my own business has been shaky off the start. I'm not generating any income. I have no customers. Would you connect me to all your community contacts? I know your influence would help me grow." Are you kidding me? And then part of me wants to go, are you bleep kidding me? And some of you right now, this is where you might even get your back up about me, because you think, well, what's wrong with that? And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You gonna reach out to me Somebody that you admit that you say, oh, well, your influence in this community would really help me grow. Just give me all your contacts. Just give me all your community contacts. What? Like I'm supposed to just turn them over to you blindly without even knowing who you are? You're already admitting to me that you're in business and you have no customers and you're not making any money. So something is wrong more than maybe it seems to you at surface level. Okay, I gotta calm down. I gotta calm down. I'm gonna have some more caffeine. I'm not sure that'll help. Anyway, I'm thinking, who are you? I don't even know you. I don't even know you. Have we met? I had to do a search on her name and go on this person's profile and look around, and it wasn't until I poked around on some pictures long enough that I actually saw this guy that she was with, and I kind of recognized him. Like, oh, is that her husband, or is she married to that guy? I kind of sort of know who that is, but that's all. And anyway, I thought the gall, and I got my back up and I got a little bit ticked, I guess. I got myself a little bit triggered. Anyway, my coaching hat is always on. I can't take this darn coaching hat off. And so when she says things like, hey, I started out in business, it's not going very well, I'm not making any money, I have no revenue, I have no customers, but I stepped out to start this business. My brain is going every which way. I'm asking so many questions, which I think about so many entrepreneurs that get started. They don't know the basics. I have minimum four basic questions that you have got to ask yourself and know the absolute answer to before you step out to start your business. And if you want to know what those four questions are, I think it's on another Ask the Coach Live, from 4 months ago or something. Go find it. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. I got to reel myself back in here. Anyway, so with my coaching hat on, here's what I texted back to her. I said, hi, name, congratulations on the launch of your new venture. I'm curious though. Hang on again. Oh, here we go. Congratulations on the launch of your new venture. I'm curious though. What made you decide to settle on a business model that doesn't generate customers and doesn't generate revenue or have profit on day one? Here's what she sent back. Oh, that's a great question. I guess sometimes I feel like an imposter. So making money is strange to me. Also, my thought was, I'm approaching this as a long-term business focused, a long-term build focused on impact and sustainability rather than immediate profit. There's a real need for this thing that I'm offering. And I'm confident the business side will just show up one day. And so I just want to go, are you stupid? Are you really that stupid? Because boy, oh boy, here's what I can guarantee you. If that's your thought process, if that's your mindset, if that's your attitude, if that's your plan, if I could call it that, you are going to fail. You've already failed. There's no way this thing's going to succeed. And I tell you, I know what I'm talking about. And it sounds crass to say, and it sounds insulting to say, but I know I'm right. I've just seen it way, way, way too often. So here's what I said. Again, take it with a grain of salt. I was ticked off. I said this. Well, that's a terrible approach and a very destructive mindset. If you want to be anything but a non-profit organization, sounds harsh, I know, but that's just flat out lousy business. And if you can even call that business, I'd rethink that awful fast if I were you. And I said, but that's just my opinion, which you didn't ask for, and I get that, so I'll just leave it at that. And then she blocked me. and then she blocked me. But here's what I gotta say. I've had people do this to me more often than I care. And I don't know how long that comes around, but it seems like every 6 months or so, somebody comes out of the blue, reaches out to me via text, usually on Messenger, and says something very similar. Hey, I started this new venture. Hey, I just started out in this company. Hey, I just started in this new thing, and I don't know anybody, and I don't have any customers, and I'm not generating any revenue, and I've got no cash flow coming in, and I'm kind of getting desperate. Hey, would you just refer me to all your friends? Hey, would you just give me your contact list and I can just, start calling people? Like, what do these people think? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? And of course my answer is going to be no. You don't do that. If that's how you think, going about asking, for help works, man, you've got a warped sense of how to go ask somebody. It makes me think of, and I'm hoping I'm making sense, but it made me think of an ask that I get. Hey, ask the coach live, and I get this ask probably once a year, and I've addressed it on posts, on my Facebook posts here, on my public page here, and my community a couple of times. I think I've posted about it twice in the last 2 years, and I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to take you through it, because this little piece that comes out of it, I think, is applicable to this conversation. And it's this: the Bible sets a very clear precedent for paying prophets, priests, kings, people of honor, people at higher levels than you, especially when you're going to them or looking to them or wanting to ask of their advice, their mentorship, their coaching, their guidance, whatever. One would never, ever go to an anointed person of honor without bringing, as the Bible says, a costly gift. It would be an absolute insult. And so, I look at people that come to me and say things like that. Hey, I'm just starting out. And I get it. You're starting out, you need some help. Great. But why don't you think through some things first before you just blindly step out in stupidity? Some people say, well, I'm just stepping out in faith. I'm like, no, you're starting out in stupidity. Do your homework first. Anyway, calm down now. Calm down now. All right, I'm going to have some more caffeine. That'll help. Anyway, and I'm like, hey, if you want to ask me for some referrals, you want to ask me or anybody else for some connections and to get you connected into the community, there's a right way and there's a wrong way. And this lady just proved exactly how to do it the wrong way. I had a guy reach out to me about a year ago, and I know this guy, and I like this guy, and we've had lunches and dinners and breakfasts and whatnots together, and he buys me meals and I buy him meals, and I like this guy. I like this guy. Anyway, he changed fields, he changed professions, and jumped into a network marketing company. And I got nothing against network marketing companies. Come on, I just really don't. But right? And so what do most of them teach you? Well, now just beat your friends and family over the head long enough until they, buy from you and give you all of their, contact lists. And that's what this guy did. He reached out and goes, hey, I left this thing that I'd been doing, all my life, and now I'm doing this thing, and I'm just starting out, and I don't have any connections, and I don't have any customers or any contacts that I can ask about, that they would engage with me to provide this service for them. So would you just make all your contacts available to me? Would you just, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? Send you my contact list and my phone, send you all the emails that I have or something, and then just let you blindly just start blasting these people and say, hey, do business with me? Hey, buy my thing? That is so not the right way to do it. And I say, shame on you if you think that's the right way to do it. Show some respect. Show some respect. It's insulting. It's very insulting for the person you're asking. Anyway, anyway, I guess I just had to get that out. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to make a connection to, let me go here. Hang on a second. Sorry, I had this lined up already, and then I closed my phone after I read that thing that I just read to you about that lady. So I got to re-find it. Hang on here, and I'm going to find it real quick. And I'm going to read this to you. This goes in line with what I just talked about. Here we go. And I get this question asked to me about once a year. I've had this asked to me about once a year for at least the last maybe 3 years, 2 for sure. And and I'm going to just read it off a post that I put up. Oh gosh, it goes back 2003. This is 2006. This is like 3 years ago. It says, someone in a similar field to me recently reached out with the following concern / inquiry. And here was the ask. Here was the ask. So it's kind of like I asked the coach live. It kind of fits. But here was the ask that this person asked me. Hey, how do you get past the mindset or the thought that you're capitalizing on people's pain or weakness or downfall or setback by charging them for services they need? Like dangling a carrot of freedom or healing when you know they're broken. How do you get past feeling guilty for that? Think about the lepers in the Bible who needed healing. Jesus never said, pay me this much and I'll heal you. He never put a price tag on their needs or his capacities or his capabilities. How do you get past feeling like you have the recipe or remedy that they need for deliverance or healing, or for taking their life or business to the next level, etc., etc., but instead of just giving them what they need, you put a price tag on it and charge them for your services? I really need help with this. So here's my reply. Here's my reply. Let me pull this up. So I say, many faith-driven Christian business owners, many faith-driven Christian entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, service providers, practitioners, they struggle. They just really do. And I did too, long time ago when I got started, struggle with putting a price tag, especially a high price tag, on their remedy or on their solution or on their product or service, even if they're not, a coach or a consultant or a therapist or whatever, because they feel that they're capitalizing on someone's pain or their brokenness, like this lady said, and then they're trying to get to the next level, and them saying, well, Jesus never charged for healing. Jesus never charged for help. Jesus never charged for, what he did. So here's my reply. Here's what will transform such absolute incorrect thinking on this matter. Is for you to have a correct understanding of biblical theology. Now I got to give you a little caveat. I'm reading my notes. This was the reply that I sent, and so I'm reading it. Because if I don't read it, I'm probably not going to do it justice. Because, when you write a post, you write it, at least I do, and then you read it over, and then you edit it, and you think about it, and you make it better, and then you post it. At least that's the way I do it. So I'm not going to freewheel this one. I'm going to read you the response that I sent to her. And it's this. The devil is the most self-righteous, pharisaical, holier-than-thou angel of light that has ever existed. The mindset that you bring comes directly from the pitiful, putrid pit of hell and is designed to enslave you, torment you, impoverish you, and mute your influence. Oh, this perfume could have been sold and the money could have been given to the poor, said the betrayer who was stealing from the Lord's treasury. All those guilt-producing thoughts with their appearance of humility and piousness are just more of hell's rhetoric. The Holy Spirit is not the manufacturer of guilt. God is not in the guilt-producing business. But hell wants you to be heavy-laden, poorer and sicker and more troubled than those you want to help and those that you do help. Yes, Hell would love to immobilize you and make you scared of doing good by breaking some religious man-made rule like helping lepers on the Sabbath. The Bible sets a very clear precedent for paying prophets, priests, and kings, people of honor and people at higher levels than you, who you go to for advice or for instruction or for mentorship or for direction. One would never go to an anointed person of honor without bringing a costly gift. It would be an insult. New Testament churches support the apostles and the apostles who worked to support themselves. Paul had a side hustle making tents. Peter's house on the Sea of Galilee was 5,000 square feet in a posh neighborhood. Now that'll blow your mind. The apostles received monetary support from the people they helped, and so did Christ. Jesus had a treasurer. You don't need a treasurer if you don't have a treasury, don't you think? I mean, you don't need a treasurer on your staff if you don't have any money. The Bible says many wealthy women supported his ministry. By the way, are you aware that Christ did not heal every sick person that he encountered? By the same logic, shouldn't he have? Shouldn't he just give and give and give to everyone and give to anyone? Shouldn't he have worn himself out serving every single person who was sick and in need and needing of healing? But he didn't. Faith was the currency that purchased the miracles. The sick did pay for their healing. They paid with faith. That's the currency of heaven. Faith and action are the dollars and cents of God's economy. Every sick person Christ healed purchased their healing by faith and demonstrated it through action. Jesus could pull gold coins out of fishes' mouths and multiply loaves and fishes and turn water into wine. He did not need to be compensated by man for anything to pay his bills. But the question is, what about you? Can you do that? Or do you have the practical matter of needing to be compensated for your contribution in order to pay for your bills like the rest of us? Yeah, I thought so. So you see, there is not an exact correlation between the way God Almighty did ministry and the way us mere mortals fund ministry or do our life's work. You will not find a single verse in the Bible that says you should help everyone for free and live under a bridge in order to serve God and people in need. That is not the least bit biblical. It's just not. Does a doctor feel guilty for treating sick people for money? No, he doesn't. So what about Christian doctors? Should they work for free? What about physical therapists? What about anesthesiologists? What about massage therapists or psychiatrists or marriage counselors or pastors or preachers or anybody? What about anybody that provides any product or any service? Why should anyone with a skill, why should anyone in business, why should anybody who's helping others feel guilty for being compensated? The workman is worthy of his wages, the Bible says. Don't muzzle the ox that treads the grain. It is the self-righteous, dogmatic, stinking thinking of religion that seeks to enslave God's people with these kinds of hellish shackles of mental bondage. You yourself have testified of the torrent of these thoughts. They are not from God. It is the oppressive, slave-driving taskmaster of hell that perpetuates this doctrine of demons. That's why these hellish thoughts make you miserable, make you double-minded and unstable. It is not the peace-producing, life-giving mind of Christ. You can certainly help people for free if you want. Do it if you like. But if someone can afford your help, if someone can afford your product or your service or your advice or your leverage, they ought to pay for it, and pay for it indeed they should. There is no dignity in allowing people to take your time, monopolize your talent, drain your energy, and distract you from your family or other obligations without fair compensation based on value. There is no dignity for them, and there is no dignity for you, period. End of discussion, end of story, that's it. Anyway, I think I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but I just wanted to say, because I've seen it so often, I've seen these two things so often. Hey, Al, introduce me to who you know. Give me your contact list. Connect me. Refer me. Now, the first thing that goes through my mind, of course, this goes back to the first thing we talked about, is this. Are you good at what you do? Are you good at what you do? And not just good at what you do. Are you exceptional at what you do? Are you the best at what you do? Are you really a professional at what you do? Because if you're not, there is no way in hell I'm giving you my contacts. There is no way I'm introducing you to people. There is no way I'm referring you. Now, I know there's a bit of I'm really kind of giving you the gears on this one, folks. I get that. Hang with me, friends. But I know there's kind of a balance. But it makes me think of a lesson that I learned from Robert Kiyosaki. And if you know Robert Kiyosaki, he's the guy that wrote the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book and the series of books that go with that. Very, very famous guy. I got hired one time to be the opening keynote speaker at a Robert Kiyosaki weekend conference. What an honor that was. And so there I was, and I did my thing and I gave my opening keynote and it was fabulous. And then I got to go just sit down. I was in the front row at the table and I'm now just sitting as a participant in his weekend seminar. And Robert Kiyosaki said this, and trust me, hang on with me for a second because this ties. He said this, he said, every single person that you rub shoulders with, every single person that you meet is one of three kind of people. They're either a professional, they're an amateur, or they're a traitor. Now, a professional, a true professional makes your life better. A true professional never ever has to tell you that they're a professional. A true professional solves your problems before you even know that you got a problem. A true professional, if you're working with a professional and they're providing a service or a product for you, they look ahead. They see farther than you do, and they anticipate problems that you might encounter, and they fix those problems, and they solve them before they even become a problem for you. That's a true professional. And when you're working with a professional, you say things like, wow, working with that person was fabulous. Oh my gosh, what a great experience. I want to work with that person again. And guess what happens? When you work with that kind of person, you automatically refer them to your friends and to your families and your colleagues and all the other people that you automatically begin to get into your contact list and say, you got to work with this person. You got to meet this person. And that happens automatically. It happens from a grassroots level. When you are a professional and you provide a professional service for me, I automatically want to and feel compelled to open up my phone, open up my Rolodex, it's an old phrase, and give you my contacts and reach out to my contacts and connect them with you. That happens automatically, but only if you are a professional. And so I'm very, very protective of my contact list and of the people that I know. If you are not a professional, I am not connecting you to the people that I know. Let's look at what Robert Kiyosaki said was the second kind of person, and that was the amateur. Now here's what Robert said, and I totally agree with him. The amateur thinks they're a professional. More often than not, they're trying to tell you, they'll tell you, I'm a professional, and they'll try to convince you that they're a professional. Remember what we said the first one? If someone has to try to convince you that they're a professional, has to tell you that they're a professional, they're not a professional. It's like, who said it? I can't remember who said it. I think it was Coco Chanel once said, was that who it was? I could be wrong. Prove me wrong, somebody. Said, if you got to tell somebody you're a lady, you're not a lady. Same sort of thing. If you got to try to tell somebody and convince somebody to do business with because you're a professional, you're not a professional. You're an amateur. And here's what happens when you work with an amateur. We've all worked with amateurs. And good Lord, I once was an amateur. But here's what happens when you work with an amateur. They make your life more difficult. They think they're helping you. You're hoping that they help you. But come on, think about it. More often than not, that person messes things up. Now you've got other problems. Now you've got kind of a ripple effect. Now you got to go clean up that. Now you got to go fix that. Now you got to go deal with that. And it causes angst and it causes frustration. You bring in that vent cleaner guy, and he makes a mess on your floor, and he doesn't clean it up. That's an amateur. You bring in a painter, and he paints the walls like you want him to paint, but he got a little bit of paint on the molding and he didn't clean it up. That's an amateur. Anyway, I could go on and on. An amateur thinks they're a professional. They'll try to convince you they're a professional, but doing business with them makes you frustrated. And then the third kind of person is the traitor. And the traitor just steals from you. Sometimes physically, steals money from you, steals energy from you, steals life from you. You kind of get it. You've got the professional, the amateur, and the traitor. And unless you are a true professional at what you do, I am not opening up my referrals to you. Just telling you right off the bat. So, get to know me first. Convince me that you know what you're doing. Convince me that you're excellent in your field. Convince me that you know what you're talking about. Convince me that you're like me. I'm confident in my competence. I know I'm a professional. I never tell anybody that, but I know I'm good at what I do. And if you're that same kind of person, I will automatically serve you by connecting my people to you. But if you got to come to me and ask me, pretty darn rare. Pretty darn rare. And I know that sounds bad, and I know that sounds crass, and I know that sounds like I'm not helping you. But trust me. But you know what Robert also taught us in that weekend seminar? Not only does everybody that we rub shoulders with, everybody that you rub shoulders is one of those three people, you are one of those three people to everybody you meet. You are one of those people to everybody you rub shoulders with. So the question is, maybe more importantly than, is that person a professional, an amateur, or a traitor? It's, which one am I to that person? And boy, did that ever humble me. Because I know that even today, I am a professional to a lot of people. But for some people in their minds and in their experience, and rightly so, I'm just an amateur because I didn't serve them well enough. And heaven forbid, but I know it's been true for me in the past, for some people I've been a traitor. Oh man, may that never be moving forward. May that never be moving forward. So, be careful when you ask for referrals. Be careful when you ask to be connected to somebody's contact list and you want help, promoting your product and your service, especially when you're starting out. I know that we all got to start somewhere. And I know, there's these low, small beginnings and you're learning as you go. But if you leave, this line of work to get into this line of work, there is a growing period. And I was frustrated. I remember when I was coming out of university and now I got this degree. I had no experience, but I got this fancy piece of paper and I was so frustrated because all the job ads said, that we're looking to hire people that I'm now a professional in. They wanted 2 years experience, 3 years experience, 5 years experience, whatever. I had none. I had zero experience. But I said, but I'm a professional. Look at this degree I have. And it was hard to get a job. But if you can convince me that you know what you're talking about, by default, I'll connect you. So that's how I suggest you tackling it. And to the other line, the other subject we talked about today, man, if you have a hard time asking for money, a fair market value for what you do, you're not going to make it. You have got some kind of a hidden self-image problem, an identity issue. Oh, the imposter syndrome. If that's holding you back from putting your shingle out there, getting your marketing out there, creating a brand for yourself, and then picking up the phone and making some sales calls and getting out there and knocking on doors and actually asking for a price that reflects your value as a professional. If you're not willing to do those things and you think that, like this lady says, well, I'm willing to go slow and I'm waiting, it's a long-term plan, I'm positive that business is just going to come on its own. It ain't going to happen. Close the doors now before you waste all that time and energy. It's going to cost you way more. It's going to cost you time and effort and peace of mind and sleep and blood, sweat and tears, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. If you don't have the willingness to do what you need to do to be successful in business, and you think it's just going to come to you because you got your name out there somewhere, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. I'm sorry. Maybe this isn't the most motivational Ask the Coach Live ever, but somebody's got to tell you like it is. Somebody's got to tell you like it is. And unfortunately, I guess to me, it's me. Anyway, if you want some help with that, reach out. Ask. But ask right. I'm going to leave it there because I think I'm rambling and I'm going to go down a different goat trail. Anyway, friends, I love you. We'll see you on the next Ask the Coach Live. Have a great one. Cheers.